It was the empire of steel, oil, and power until it wasn't. The United States once built the world. Now it can't even fix its own bridges. How does the most powerful industrial force in history just collapse? What if it wasn't an accident? What if it was a planned surrender? In the 1950s, America was unstoppable. Detroit rolled out cars like clockwork. Pittsburgh forged the steel that built the world. California led the aerospace frontier. Entire towns revolved around factories, union jobs, pensions, real wages, a middle class with power. But today, factories are ghost towns. Skyscrapers built by American hands are maintained by foreign tech, and the next generation is told to learn to code instead of build. We're told it was globalization, that the free market simply evolved. But that's not the full story. That's the narrative, crafted, packaged, and sold to cover something far darker. Because when you dig into the policies, the timelines, and the backroom deals, one thing becomes clear. This was intentional. Let's rewind to 1971. Nixon ends the gold standard. The dollar, once backed by metal, becomes paper, backed only by power. Then in 1974, a secret deal is cut with Saudi Arabia. Sell oil only in US dollars. In return, protection, WEPs, influence. This creates the petrodollar system, propping up the dollar as the global reserve currency. From that moment on, America didn't need to build anymore. It could print. And when you can print, you can offshore. You can export labor, import goods, and funnel profits to the top while pretending it's all in the name of efficiency. But this wasn't just economic policy, this was strategic transformation. The elite didn't want a strong, independent working class. They wanted control. And a population that builds things, that creates, it's hard to control. So in the 1970s and 80s, we see it begin. Unions dismantled, industries deregulated, wages stagnated, production sent to China, Mexico, Southeast Asia, and behind much of it, organizations like the Trilateral Commission, founded in 1973. Its members, powerful political, banking, and corporate leaders. Their mission? Global coordination. Their belief that too much democracy, too much domestic industry was inefficient. In their ideal world, the US wasn't a manufacturer, it was a consumer, a manager of markets, not a maker of things. By the 1990s, the transformation was nearly complete. Enter NAFTA, enter the WTO, trade deals that gutted American factories and flooded the country with cheap imports. Deals signed by both parties, because this wasn't left versus right, this was top versus bottom. And while small towns collapsed, while factories shuttered and jobs disappeared, Wall Street soared. The stock market became the economy. Finance replaced manufacturing. Real estate bubbles replaced. Economists prepaid to say it was all progress. But it wasn't progress, it was a hostile takeover. America didn't lose its industry, it gave it away, piece by piece, to global monopolies with no allegiance to any flag. And it wasn't just jobs we lost resilience. Today, nearly 90% of our antibiotics come from overseas. Our microchips are foreign-made. Even our steel and aluminum, once the pride of American strength, are imported. In a real crisis, war, cyber attack, biological threat, the US would be exposed because it no longer controls its own supply chains. We don't make the goods, we don't own the factories, we barely own the intellectual property. We're not a country anymore, we're a distribution node in a global system we don't control. And here's the kicker. While the industrial heartland was bleeding, the same people who pushed the policies were buying the remains. BlackRock, Vanguard, mega firms buying up land, housing, entire neighborhoods. Why? Because when a system collapses, the ones who triggered it buy the ashes. And just when it seemed irreversible, a new narrative appeared. Made in America is back. Factories are reopening. Politicians are promising blue-collar jobs again. But is it real? Or is it just a reset, a controlled demolition followed by planned reconstruction? Because the corporations behind the collapse are now behind the revival. The same lobbyists, the same billionaires, the same media telling us, this time, it's different. But this time, it's digital. Smart factories, automated warehouses, AI-powered logistics. And suddenly you realize this new industrial revolution doesn't need workers, it needs data. It needs compliance, it needs digital IDs, programmable money, and 24/7 surveillance. The factory of the future isn't about jobs, it's about behavioral control. And as this system takes shape, the elite aren't rebuilding America, they're replacing it. Replacing physical independence with digital dependency. Replacing labor with algorithms. Replacing community with consumerism, and calling it progress. So ask yourself, was this a collapse or a handover? Did America fall apart, or was it taken apart, piece by people who believe in markets, not nations? Because a strong, self-sufficient America can't be controlled. But a fragmented, digital, imported America, that's manageable, that's profitable, that's easy to rule. And now the country that once led the world in invention is being told to forget its past, to trust the system, to embrace the algorithm. But history hasn't ended, and the American spirit hasn't died. It's just been locked in a vault behind non-disclosure agreements, offshore bank accounts, and corporate smokescreens. So when they tell you the American dream is dead, ask yourself, who killed it, and who's standing over the body with the deed to everything we built? You be the judge. That's the first step. Subscribe for more content they don't want you to see. And if you're ready to dig deeper, sign up for the free underground newsletter, link in bio. They keep the surface clean, we operate below it.